Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
As a toxin begins to turn the residents of Ogden Marsh, Iowa into violent psychopaths, Sheriff David Dutton tries to make sense of the situation while he, his wife, and two other unaffected townspeople band together in a fight for survival. We are doing Groundhog Day remakes, and we did 2010's The Crazies.
Like Crazies. Last year, around this same exact time, we did the original Crazies by George A. Romero. And his birthday was the other day, so happy late birthday, George A. Romero.
In a weird
just how everything just kind of fell into place that way.
It
we
did.
Didn't even plan for that.
No,
that's funny.
We really just thought of Groundhog's Day as a theme and went with it. And then realized this was it.
So here we are.
Here we are. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite remakes. I think this movie holds up well. There's not too much CGI. It has a ton of homages to the original.
That it does.
Without being a direct ripoff of the original. And no crazy incest scene.
Exactly.
So there you go.
It's one of those remakes that definitely improves upon the original. Like it has the same elements, the same basic story, but everything they take is kind of like they go deeper and they expand on everything, and it makes it a much like well-rounded movie.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched this for the first time, not long after we did the first episode of when we recorded our first one for The Crazies. I saw it afterwards. I was like, man, this isn't bad. This is actually really good.
Yeah, it's an amazing remake.
And I forgot how good it was until we rewatched. I'm like, wow, this actually holds up a lot better than what I remembered it to be.
Timothy Oliphant, who plays David the Sheriff, and his friend Russell Clank, which is
Russell Clank.
Yes, they're all named after the original characters in the first movie. David and Judy are the same, and Russell Clank is all there. But I really loved the chemistry that David and Russell have. Like, both of those actors, I'm like, have you guys just been friends for fucking years? Because you guys are acting like that.
That's the dynamic I loved about them, even though they were boss and
they were sheriff and deputy.
Sheriff and deputy, yeah.
They still played off of that really, really well.
They did, and they create such chemistry that it makes the heartbreaking moments that much worse. Yeah, because you're just like, no, I don't want him to go. Yeah, that's his friend.
The scene where they get back to David and Judy's house and they're trying to get out and everything, and after they kill the Rory's wife and all that.
Yeah.
After that whole scene, when then Russell is standing by the car and they walk out, and Judy is like, David, he's turning. And I'm like, bitch, this was a conversation you should have had inside. Like,
this was an indoor conversation.
Yes. You know what I mean? It's like, you think he's going crazy, and obviously he was, but I'm like, you should be talking about this right here.
Yeah, but then again, you got to think about it this way, and he even brings it up towards the end where he counts out how many times he saved his life. If he hadn't have gone crazy or whatever you want to call it, what?
No, I get that, and I get that he had that loyalty and he saved my life, I wouldn't even be here kind of thing. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, Judy should have had that conversation indoors.
Inside,
not within earshot of
like
the
you're
crazy
saying
that
he's
you're
crazy, but he can probably still hear you. You're being stupid right now.
Yeah. One thing that I did like much more in this version than I did in the original version was the kind of standoffishness of the military. Yeah. Like, the first one showed how bureaucracy and just too many or too many cooks in the kitchen kind of fucks everything up, right? Like, there's too much going on, too many people not in the know or in the know. And this one didn't really focus on any of that. This one, I mean, we got mostly satellite images.
They were there, but they weren't like a huge, what is it,
It wasn't a big presence in there.
Yeah.
This version of the story was definitely told from more of the townspeople's perspective.
Yeah, well, and I feel like it updates it well because it's so much more impersonal because you don't go to the town. Like, the higher ups aren't there. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're not running around in this town trying to figure it out. They're looking from a satellite image somewhere. So it's really been updated it and taken the human element of the military out of that, except when we get the scenes in later.
Well, watching both of them, again, in the original, you have the military who has no idea what the hell is going on. And in this one, they kind of already know what's going on. They're like, oh, shit, we got to do these protocols to stop it from spreading.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good update because it's more like what would be in line with what the military would be doing. It'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, we're not going in there. We know that this situation is going to be fucked. We're going to just get rid of the town, basically.
Yeah.
I not even like when it opens. The movie opens just to that the town fucking burning down
on fire.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, this is what happens.
Was it the town or
let's
was it?
take you back 2 days earlier.
Or was it the house?
No, that was the town. That was
It
Main
was-
Street.
Well,
yeah.
it showed fires, and then it kind of focused in on Main Street. That was like fires everywhere, and the cars burning, and shit like that. So it was definitely. It kind of gave you one of those things where like it was a good open. Like that's the thing about this movie too. Like it has a really good open where it's like, okay, here's the shit that's going to happen. Now we're going to bring you back and show you how we got here.
Well, yeah, and like the pacing of this movie works so well because it's just. I mean, we open with the town on fire, and then it goes immediately back 2 days, and we're at a baseball game. So it's like the story is constantly keeping you moving, which makes the movie more interesting.
And I love the fact that it does that because it's like, here's the fires, here's everything, and then it's like, oh, we're at a baseball game, but this was only 2 days ago. So it's like, you're really gonna get the shit that's gonna hit the fan with this story. It's gonna happen right away, and it really does because then
Rory walks out onto the baseball
and he's
field.
like, oh yeah, opening day, come on, Scotty. Give him the heater, Scotty.
He throws fast like he drives.
Yeah, I love movies that do that though. That I've always like. If I ever made movies, I'd always want to do at least one movie where they show the ending at the beginning. So you're like, wait a minute, I already saw what happened and how it ended. But with this, I like that too because, like you said, you show everything burning down, so you know, okay, something bad happens, and you don't realize it until the story starts unfolding. You're like, oh shit, that's what we saw.
I really like that they kept the Trixie name too, name Trixie.
Yeah. It was there, but not like so prominent. Kind of thing. It was there.
And these Crazies felt more zombie-esque than the original. I mean, in the original, we really just saw people being crazy.
It was literally the original one. I'm like, these are just hippies on LSD.
Like, remember that one bitch? That one bitch was just sweeping a field. They were just weird hippies that are. And there was a dance hall scene, remember? And it was just hippies dancing around. Yeah.
We didn't get the dance hall scene in this one.
No, we sure didn't.
But I feel like this one was more like small town than the other one was.
Yeah.
So the other one's kind of like a medium town, I guess. But
yeah,
there
this
was
one's
no dance hall.
definitely...
There was no dance hall. I mean, it was the sheriff's office next to everything in the fucking Main Street, and then everyone else lived in the middle of the fields, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, the thing that gave me more so of a small town feel is how pretty much everybody was at that baseball game. And they pretty much saw what happened with
when you got
Rory.
When you get Judy and Becca, who's working for Judy, and she's like, I'll go to the baseball game, and then the sheriff and deputy are there. And it's like, so the whole town there.
The whole town is at the...
and weird Principal Ben. So, everyone's there, and including Rory with the shotgun.
I really like their, amp up into the Crazies, because they just go a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
Like, they just have this blank stare. And they're still kind of cognitive, you know what I mean? Like, but they're not all there, and you could see it in their eyes. Like, there's just nothing going on behind. And
it's
I really
someone's home, but they're not there.
Yeah, and there's more as the virus progresses or whatever. Like, it starts taking their body down. Like it seems.
Yeah, you really notice that when the husband and wife with the boy that ended up with the fire.
Oh, that scene always breaks my heart.
When they're at the doctor's office and he's just like, oh, she's just worrying, and then like. He just stares off blank, and then 2 seconds later, he's like, "Oh, she's just worried about nothing." And like, she even had that kind of things like, maybe we should keep an eye on this guy.
Well, yeah, and that's when she's like, on Monday, I'm going to take him and get him a CT. Like, there's clearly something going on. But I always took it like I had an issue with that kind of interaction, and I know it's not necessarily Judy's fault, but I'm like, you're a doctor, right? Like, you should be able to see that the wife is like super worried.
Yeah.
Okay, but Judy was kind of a shitty doctor.
Well,
I'm going to say it. Judy was a shitty doctor. No, because think about this. After the car wash scene where Becca gets pulled out by those like cables or whatever as they drive away.
Yeah.
So she's hung there and they're trying to, they kill the other guys, right? Yeah. And then they get her down and she just looks at her. And I'm like, bitch, you ain't going to do CPR? Like, you're doing nothing. Like, you are doing nothing to save this poor girl's life.
Well, I took it as, because they check her neck. And they're like looking around. So I'm like, maybe Judy was just like her neck broke because with that much force.
Yeah. Well,
and that kind of jerk.
You hear the snap and you could assume, okay, her neck is broken. She's done.
Yeah. If she's internally
decapitated.
Because
wasn't she kind of wiggling around? So
no.
No.
I thought she was.
No.
Because it wrapped around her neck and it pulled her out. And as soon as
she yanks down, she's out.
Yeah, she was done.
I thought she was moving around.
No, that was just the swinging from the force.
Well, it's a good thing, even if she was alive, then it's a good thing that they bombed the fucking car wash and then she didn't, suffer too long after that.
Yeah.
They're like, you're just going to leave me here?
Yeah, no, I really enjoy. Yeah, Judy wasn't that great. David, the sheriff, goes back to the baseball field the next day to kind of look around because he feels really bad about having to shoot Rory.
Yeah.
And I mean, he needed to shoot Rory.
Well, the thing that here's the thing that pissed me off about
okay.
that whole
yeah, go.
thing.
I think I know where you're getting. 'Cause he took way too long to fucking shoot Rory. Is my fucking problem with that.
Not just that though, but the thing that got me mad is when he was in the funeral home and the wife and son are there, and they're like, "Why did you have to shoot him?" Like, bitch, did you see what he fucking was about to do? He had a shotgun in his hand.
I don't think that they were there because
But
I
still,
think that's why it was so.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they weren't there, but I mean, still, if you hear like he showed up with the shotgun, like I think he even says like he's like he was walking out with a fucking shotgun.
No, he was like he was drunk.
Yeah.
He had a gun. Like that's what because they were really he was supposed to be a past alcoholic or something.
Yeah.
That was Rory's backstory.
Because I remember her saying something about how he hadn't touched the bottle
2
in
years or something.
Yeah.
like 2 years or whatever. But still, though, you got to think of it that way. Look, dude's going up to a baseball game with a shotgun, points it at the sheriff. What do you think is going to fucking happen?
Especially that he had that like confused look first, like he was just kind of staring, and then when he looked down, like, oh shit, I have a shotgun, and like he just had that weird confused look, and he'd be like, okay, I'm automatically gonna assume, this guy was an alcoholic, and he fell off the wagon, and this is what this is, like.
I could get that too, but then when he's at the baseball field the next day, he runs into the principal.
Yeah, who
is also
Principal
and I'm like, nope, that's too many fuzzy people. You need to start looking at shit, and he does.
Yeah,
he does get interested, but they don't figure anything out until those hunters that aren't supposed to be hunting go into the woods and discover the dead army dude. And I was like, ew, because like they pull him out and like the guy falls into the water that's like next to the decomposing body. And I'm like, oh, it's on your face. Like you have whatever that dude had. Like that's contagion, man.
When I saw the 3 redneck hillbilly hunter guys, I immediately took me to Zombieland when he yelled, thank God for rednecks.
Yep.
I'm like, those dudes are going to come into play.
They always do.
So we learned throughout the movie that it was in the water, and it's, how he has that whole thing where he's like, well, first the water flows here to this house.
Oh, yeah. They give us a really good mapping of how.
He gives us that map before he goes to visit the mayor. The mayor
the
to me. The
pasty mayor? Yeah.
Yo, the mayor to me, I'm like, you are the butterball Centerbite.
Yeah.
Like, you were the Centerbite. Because I'm like, that chunky dude, I'm like, I don't know why. Just seeing him come out of the fucking pool, I'm like, I don't need to see this scene.
Well, see,
Give him a phone call next time.
I'm from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, and that is just pasty white dude in charge.
Pasty white dudes?
Yes, pasty white dude in charge.
It just cracked me up that when he went up to his house, he had the fancy and really nice pool.
Yeah, in the middle, like
in the middle of a
cornfields in the background. He's got like this weird pool. I'm like,
that you really could only use probably 2 to 3 months out of the year because Iowa is
and
cold.
even then, like how much fucking shit are you getting, like debris from the cornfields, like in that pool,
right?
Like,
and
let's
time, hope that there's no fucking pesticides or anything you're spraying on the fields too.
I'm sure that's all washed in there by a stiff breeze, and I think it was part of it just to show, he's just this. Like power hungry dude, because it's like there's no like
the water stays on.
Why have a fucking pool? Like that's just, it makes no sense to have like the background that they have it in the house that he had it. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
It was the pasty mayor is not convinced by David being like, look, we found a dead dude and a plane in our water supply, and pasty mayor's like, nope, water stays on. Like, come on, pasty mayor.
Well, he was making all those, like, I mean, if you think about it, it was kind of true what he was saying is like, if you cut off the water now, you're going to kill pretty much the town in essence, but that's
what happens.
That's what ends up happening.
You shut off the water, the town's going to die.
Well,
already
dying.
So we figure out that he describes the path of the water. So then my question is, Rory was obviously the first one that it affected, because it showed they were the first house from Hopman Bog, I think it was, or something like that, right? So my question is, how was Rory affected? Like a day before, or even hours or whatever before his wife and son, like,
because
that
viruses,
was my question.
Everything affects people differently.
So that was my question. Like, is it just it affects you differently, or is it the matter? Like, was he drinking water and the wife was just, I'm a soda drinker, I don't drink water?
No, I just assume it affects everybody's metabolism bodies differently.
My question was this: Because when they found the dead pilot or whatever need be in there, the coroner, funeral dude or whatever need be said he's been here at least a week.
Yeah.
The plane had been there at least a week. Mm-hmm. And you later find out that it has an incubation period of 48 hours.
But that just means it took the water that long to travel to the house.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I took it, because it would still take time to move downstream and then go through all the pipes and all that. It's because it says that they treat it first and then it comes out of the water treatment plant to those homes.
Okay.
So yeah, it took that long to get downstream.
Yeah, and that water wasn't really like flowing very quickly or anything. It was pretty still, you know. I mean, I'm sure it flowed or whatever, but
one of the main reasons I love this movie so much is because Timothy Olyphant is perfect as David. Yeah. Like, there's parts where he just, like, it's so seamlessly that these lines fall out of his mouth. Like when they're in the boat looking for the plane, or they're looking for whatever's out there, and that guy keeps asking him about the reward, and he's like, you asked about that again, I'm gonna throw you out of the fucking boat. Like, and he's just like, it says it so seamlessly.
Then he says, again, the one thing that, knowing what we know about this movie, that shooting was justified. But everybody kept giving him shit about it, because even that guy was like,
that's small towns. That's small towns.
Shoot me. Yeah, he had that line, like, you shoot me.
He was like, motherfucker, I'm going to drown your ass in this creek.
Mm-hmm. And David, like, there are parts of David's personality that I don't jive with, because a lot of this movie is just him trying to convince himself and others that everything's gonna be fine. Yeah. Like, he keeps saying it over and over and over again. But I do love the part where he's like, we requested a transfer for this asshole in my cell.
Didn't we do this like hours ago?
And they go and check. He checks the phones. He checks the internet. And then he's like, we're in trouble. Like, at that point, he's like, fuck.
Yeah, I wrote down horror PSA. If communications goes down in your town, it's going to get blown up like the plan was in the Simpsons movie.
Yes.
Well, not just that, though, but the creepy thing is when he went outside and he didn't see
the town's just deserted. And then that chick comes riding out on the bike. And that's the incest. What was her name in the original? Do we remember?
I don't remember her name.
I don't either. But yeah, she's the one who had sex with her dad in the original. And she's just riding a bike with her pigtails.
It's creepy.
Yep.
What? Yeah, I wrote down the crazy blonde lady riding with the ponytails riding a banana seat bike while the MIB are taking pictures of from the corner over there in that SUV.
Yeah. Another pasty white dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, they were there just to observe everything, right? That's kind of
That's what I took, because he was just taking pictures. Like, he never got out of his car except when he had the accident at the end, and he was just taking pictures of stuff. So maybe he's just the combat camera unit.
I'm wondering if there was more than one, or that, that guy. I don't know if that guy was the same one.
There could have been more than one.
I'm sure there was, or whatever, but yeah.
See, it was always like kind of that impersonalized experience with the military, right? Like, you only had the black SUV running around and like stuff like that. And then when the military even shows up, like, there's just too many infantry soldiers running around to even like put a face or a name to anybody.
Well, the scene where they're at Scotty's house, right? Let's talk about that scene for a second. So first of all, Scotty's a moron.
Yes.
So when they get there and he's holding the gun and he's pointing it at Russell. And Becca's like, Scotty, like, it's us. Calm the fuck down.
Don't be an asshole, Scotty.
And then when David comes in and like takes the gun from Scotty, and then I'm like, Becca goes to hug Scotty, and I would have been like, no, motherfucker, you tried to kill us. Because they were right down, and like Scotty's like, sorry, it's everyone for themselves now, Becca. We're breaking up.
Right, Becca. And that at least deserved a punch in the shoulder.
Or slap or something. Be like, you son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he runs out, when the soldiers are there, like, when he runs out and then they shoot him, and I was like, Jesus, Scotty doesn't know how to follow orders. Yeah. And then the mom does the same shit. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Scotty doesn't know the feeling.
Scotty doesn't know.
That's what I was waiting for, especially when he was pointing the gun at him, and when they did the whole thing, he was like, man, it's obvious Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know that Sheriff and Judy are in the barn. I don't know. I was going somewhere with it.
I like after he walks out onto Main Street and he goes, like, he hears something.
Yeah.
I really love the scene in the funeral home. It's so, like, bananas.
Yeah.
Because he just goes in there and he hears something under the table, and then he has to, like, cut open that dude's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the
and does he just leave him?
Yeah, well, apparently.
Well, he's probably dead.
Well, he says something.
He says, behind you.
Yeah, so clearly he's still alive, but, like, we never see that dude again.
Yeah, they just leave after, because it cuts to, like, after Russell comes and saves him, And they were like, "Get the fuck out of here now." They just leave the guy there.
They just leave that poor dude.
I'm like, is it does the coroner guy and the priest guy, like, are they business partners that run this funeral home in this small town?
I assumed
would
like why was he there if there was no one else there?
I
it wouldn't make
assumed
sense.
the priest or whatever ran the funeral home, but the only coroner in town had to do like the autopsies and shit. Right,
Yeah.
because like
at the funeral home. That's the only place.
because that's the only
It's
place.
multi-purpose.
It's it's a one street town,
I
Paul.
guess. I know what you're all right, I'm not saying
Where all these
anything, I'm just
businesses
saying.
are like 2 for 3 for ones.
It's
I
it's
do
a
like
Notary Public funeral home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coroner's office.
when the
Yeah.
military starts rounding everybody up and they take them to the high school, which was the same in the first one.
Yeah.
But when they're walking through all the lines and they're getting tested, did you see the UV lights they had out there? It's like, yes, they brought back the UV lights.
They walk through that tent thing and it's like,
Yeah.
these are black.
It's
lights,
just
man.
guy
Like, I
there
get
with
it.
a UV light
And
trying
like,
to kill
okay,
shit.
and it's okay. It's funny because we mentioned that, we made fun of that, we harped on that a lot on our podcast for the original Crazies, and knowing all we know now about coronavirus, that UV lights do kind of kill stuff, but I'm like, there's no way that little quick wand thing.
Yeah.
like you have to
No.
put shit in under UV lights for like a while. Like it's
Yeah.
not a quick like zzz, and then you're clean.
But when they go through that little checkpoint, they discover Judy's got a temp.
Yep.
Dun dun dun. And okay, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that they were infected?
I think they all were at some. They had to have been.
Do you think Judy? And you're saying Judy and David?
Yes,
or?
Judy and David. Do you think Judy and David were infected at the end?
I think they were because
Okay, here is my thing. I don't know how David could not have been infected.
With the knife?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because okay. Let's talk about the scene where they save. He comes and saves Judy, and then Russell's got to save David when we get back to their house, and it's the Rory's husband or Rory's wife and her 50-year-old son for some reason.
He's like
the
35.
whole it was a cool thing, but I'm like, the knife in the hand to the neck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool scene, but I'm like, you would be infected or you would have AIDS or botulism or sepsis
Yeah,
or you
I
would
wrote-
get something, right?
I wrote
Like,
knife in hand, knife in throat equals ouch plus ew.
yeah, like, you would have some blood transfer. at
Yeah,
least,
because
right?
it was a cool thing. Like he like slaps her and kills her that way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she
And
stabs
then-
him in the hand
Yeah.
and like basically
Yeah.
pins him to the ground.
He was reaching for the gun and she stabbed his hand.
And then he pulls the knife out of his hand while it's still attached to her.
Yeah, he pulls the hand up with the knife
So-
in it. And
so,
then
yeah.
slaps
Yeah,
her.
there's no way
He
he's not infected.
He knife
Yeah.
bitch slapped her jugular with the knife hand.
So yeah, like to Paul and your guys' credit, there's not a way he wasn't infected that way.
Yeah, and so then you got to think back to the original where David seemed to have some natural immunity to it. Remember at the end,
Yeah.
and so I'm wondering like maybe this David did too, and that's why he wasn't showing signs. But I don't know. I think Judy might have still been.
How would have Judy got it though? Do you think just naturally from the water, or do you think
I
some
think it's
other
because
way?
she was a doctor. Because
Yeah.
Do you
obviously
think that's
she-
how she got it, just because she was a doctor?
well, the
Well,
doctor's-
she explains it going. She's like, it's not airborne now.
Yeah.
If it's airborne, then we've all got it. She says that after the military talks to
Well,
her.
then that military kid's gonna die then.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think that part really harkens back to the original too, where it's like, we didn't know shit. We didn't even know where the fuck we were until we landed and saw license plates. We didn't
Yeah.
know where we were at all. They didn't tell us anything. They told us, this and that, and it's like, do we look sick to you?
I
Fuck
do.
yeah.
I love like this movie has so much action going on and so much horror aspects of it. But when they have those little pauses and it's the interaction between the people, like they're all kind of like they're all in a shit situation.
My favorite of those that you brought that up, and I don't know how to bring this up, but this is a perfect segue to it. When David gets separated from his wife, and it looks like, okay, he's in the clear and he's not infected. They're going to go.
Oh, and they
send
take
out.
him to that truck stop.
Yeah, my favorite part of the whole movie is when he has the interaction with that one guy he knows.
Yeah,
he's like,
the water guy or whatever.
I won't
Yeah.
ask you why you
yeah,
won't.
that thing. I love that
I
because he
love
says,
the,
"I was like, why are you so like?"
It's a fool's errand, is what he
Yeah.
tells me. Like, Judy's a fool's errand.
Fuck you.
And again, my favorite line is when he tells him, he's like, I won't ask you why you're so quick to leave your wife if you won't ask me why I'm so quick to go save my wife.
And kids, people are just shit sometimes. And so you got to learn that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, David's kind of shit because he left the priest guy just
did
sewed up. I mean,
he did.
I mean, the priest guy. I mean, maybe he died because like at the end of that thing where Russell stops the blade from cutting David. After that, I feel like the priest guy would be like, "Can someone please
open my eyes?
Can someone please cut my eyes open now?"
It'd be the one thing is like, "Can someone please untie me?"
Yes.
Hello? Like, did you just fucking leave me, you assholes?
Before we move on with those little, we're talking about those tender moments that they have, or those like, it's just like human moments, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're really human moments because when they do talk to the military guy, like that kid was great in that role. He's just a scared kid.
I mean, you see him, he's like 19, 20 years old. He's like, I don't know shit, man.
I didn't sign up to shoot unarmed civilians. Like, this is just what I am here to do because this is my job. Like, and I like that he doesn't rat him out. He's just like, I won't tell anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody. It's like, and even if he didn't tell anybody, like chances of those people making it out aren't even that big. Like,
see, I think that's the thing too. Like when David's just like, look, just give us a chance, man.
Yeah.
Like we're not sick. My wife's a doctor. And
even
we just
him,
need a chance.
even him, he's scared. Like, 'cause he gets freaked out. He's like, "Am I gonna die without my mask on?"
And they're like, "Is that what they told you?"
Yeah. So
like
we get the little bits of the story from the military without it being such a big overarching military theme.
It's the humanity aspect of that soldier. Like I'm, like I said, 1920. He doesn't know shit. He's like, we didn't know where the fuck we were until we landed. And now they told us, we got to do this and. I think he was just like, it really shook him. You can tell because he had that little pause, like, is this area clear? And he's like, yep, nothing here. Let's go.
Yeah. Yes. And again, when David sneaks back into the town after he leaves the rest stop or whatever, and he goes back to the sheriff's station, and that's when he runs into Russell. And I love their little but Russell's down to fuck shit up. He's like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's go get her.
You want us to do this? Let's go. When they're in that scene and they're looking for like weapons or just trying to see what they can use or whatever. And then you have the SUV in the background. I was like, these fucking like FBI guys or whoever just fucking joyriding in the town doing donuts.
Just
like,
doing donuts around.
The town's empty. Fuck, they're just drunk and like got up to the liquor store and just like, woo, until they run into the three hunting rednecks. I wrote their names. I think it was Jesse, Red, and I forget the third one, like Nate or something. Jesse, Red, and Nate. I think they were. But yeah, they were like, let's go hunting.
I really enjoyed the high school scene, the horror scene in the high school when Judy's strapped down. Yeah, with Principal Ben, and he's just fucking pitchforking people through their middles for no reason. And I like how they're kind of like they're pickling him.
Yeah,
because they're just doing the call back and forth.
Yeah, and that's what I was like. I'm like, just keep doing it. Like he'll go back and forth.
Like when he goes to stab Becca, Judy screams, right? And so he's like, "Oh, there's a bitch over there. I gotta go get." So like Becca should have just screamed too,
like,
and then
Becca.
They just kept confusing him to walk back and forth. That's what I wanted.
I wrote down okay, because this takes place in Iowa, right? So
yes.
I wrote down, imagine being a teen at this high school in this small shit town in Iowa, and just counting down to your 18th birthday so you can go anywhere else. And just because you got a little fever, you not only die in this town, but in the fucking high school as well. Like imagine that. Like you're like, I have a cold.
Nobody wants to die in the high school.
I have a cold or something, right? And they go and they separate. Like, you fever. She's got COVID. Throw her in there. And then you're like, no, I'm gonna die in this stupid fucking town that I hate. And like, I'm not even sick. I don't even have Trixie or whatever, man. Like, terrible.
But
so
then,
get out of your shit towns while you can.
It is difficult, and everybody be like, "Why are you leaving?" But just go.
Because
like, you know why I'm leaving.
Have you seen the Crazies? It's going to happen here.
Hey, you know what? I had a friend in Iowa that was really scared of Jeepers Creepers because of the cornfields and everything. And I was like, why you still live here, bitch? Like, go. Be free. There's places without cornfields.
My plan, and I think it's safe to say this because I doubt she listens to our podcast, but my plan is to go there someday and set up the Jeepers Creepers, like scarecrow-looking guy in her backyard.
I've been wanting to do this since high school.
Yeah, have her not know about it. And just
road trip.
Yeah.
I used to freak her out because she was the first one of us to get our license. Like, we would just be driving along. I'm like, it's fine. And then I'd randomly look out the side of the window and scream. I was not a very nice friend.
Good times.
Good times are had by all. But when the Crazies take the high school, like, is it the firefighters that like blow down the high school the fence or whatever? Because it's a red truck.
The rednecks.
Yeah.
I thought no, because the people getting out of that truck were like, they had outfits on. They were part of the town. They weren't the rednecks who go to the high school.
Was it the same, like this shit town has volunteer firefighters?
Probably.
Because I wrote down, because when we get to the scene after the husband had burned the house down and all that, and you see the firefighters, and as soon as David and Judy get there, and David's talking to like the head firefighter guy or whatever, and I was like, this poor ladies in Ogden Marsh still have to deal with these old ass firefighters in this town. Like David and Russell, I think, are the youngest, dudes in this town.
Best looking dudes in the town. Judy's like, well, I got mine. Everybody stay away from him.
Trying to lock this down by getting knocked up. So. And I would imagine as the town doctor and the sheriff, they get a lot of those late night calls. Be like, oh, this shit happened.
The house burning down always just like, I hate it. I hate it. The wife isn't being stupid.
No,
she knows there's something wrong with the husband. She's been trying to get him help.
But you're never gonna know that it's like, oh, no. You don't know what the fuck's wrong with them.
And then like the son and the wife do something they think is smart because they're hiding from the dad, and then he just fucking locks them in and burns them to death. Yes. It's so heartbreaking.
Well, at the end, the false flags that I love is how she goes into the barn and it has that, what is it, that big, what are those called? Those corn thingies?
Oh,
the threshers?
There you go. Yeah, where that's on, and like, bitch, why are you standing in fucking front of that?
I know, that's the only part I was like, move. Maybe she knows like she would have to hear it click or something, and it's not very fast, so I think she could still get out of the way.
He's like, she's standing in front of it trying to get her husband's attention. I'm like, bitch, you're in front of it. It's making a shitload of noise. Yeah. He's not gonna fucking
go
hear
around.
you.
There's got to be a back door.
Go
somewhere.
around.
Yeah, if your husband starts going fuzzy enough to like zone out, maybe have him stay somewhere else, or you go stay somewhere else for the night. I mean,
I really liked in that whole scene with his name is Bill. I forget the wife's name, but I like the under the door, the boot cam.
Oh yeah,
where it's like he's doing all that and he locked the door and all that. Mm-hmm. I wrote down that Bill was just mad because his wife was wearing his slippers and rope again because she was always wearing his slippers.
She was outside. She had to put her because when you live on a farm, you have those. I got my quick outdoor shoes because you have to have those when you live. You don't know.
You don't live on a farm.
I grew up in Iowa. Believe me, if you need slip-on shoes to go out into the wilderness because you got to go out to check on shit a lot.
That's the thing, because she was wearing his, and he was like, God damn it, I put them here. They belong here.
He was like, I swear, if she wears my shit one more time, I'm burning this fucking thing down.
That's what it was.
He was like,
it wasn't the water. He wasn't infected. It was just domestic violence.
He was like Milton from Office Space. He's like, I swear, I'm going to burn this place down one more time.
I love that moment when they get out of the high school, and they have that chick who's walking around. She's like, did somebody call? I don't remember. Like, did Richard call or something like that? And then Clank is like, that's going to be me. That's going to be me. I live right down the road from these people. Like, that's going to be me. Like, he gets so freaked out. And then David, still just the ever optimist, is like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You're going to be all right. It's going to be good.
I was told there was birthday cake.
Let's get going. And
they were told there was birthday cake. Yes. But next time there wasn't any cake.
Back to when the knife plus hand plus throat happens, and Russell takes out the Rory's son or whatever, and then he runs upstairs, and he doesn't even run straight upstairs because Becca gets there first.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where the fuck did he go? But he comes upstairs, and he basically just does a double tap. Like, he shoots both of them in the head again. He was
smart, and that's when, what's her face? Judy was like, you need to watch him. Like, no.
See, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that, though, because the way that he did it, I was like, all right.
It could go either way, but at the same time, like, shit has gone down in this town. Like, we gotta focus on we don't need these people getting back up and running around after we've already taken care of them. Like,
but he shot them twice extra, didn't he?
Double tap.
Yeah, you double tap.
Yeah, but
And he even says, just making sure, and hands off the gun, man.
I would think you would need one, because he'd already shot the son. And then the wife had the knife to the jugular. So I'm like, one in the head for both of them. That's more than sufficient.
That's why he shot it, because she saw him move still, or she was still moving. Yeah. She was still bleeding out.
But you're wasting ammo at that point.
Fuck that.
Still double tap.
Double tap.
One is enough. One is enough.
Nope.
No, Paul.
It's a rule.
It's a rule.
You gotta follow the rules.
I'm saying one per each is enough.
Still, we've seen plenty of horror movies to know how this shit ends.
No, I'm not saying just one total. I'm saying two total, not three total. He gave them two each after that. So
still.
3 is too much.
No.
You don't need 3. You're wasting ammo.
Still,
One bullet to the brain.
Would you rather them get up and be like, shit, I should have shot him one more time?
One bullet to the brain is enough.
No.
Yes.
No. Movies has taught us different.
Okay, you're going to waste ammo and then 20 days.
I will be alive. All right.
You're wrong.
But after they leave the house, after, the double tap and everything, they get in the cop car that didn't have any wheels on it, like 10 minutes before.
Literally didn't have any wheels on it.
The thing that's funny to me, and I'm like, was there a sale on boots? Because they just booted everything
I
in
know.
this town.
No.
So I'm like, I thought it would have been funny to me that they were like, all right, there's some loose tires here. We got to boot these. Like they just put the boot on the fucking
on the
tires.
tire.
Like, yeah, like, now what the fuck you guys gonna do?
No, I assumed the boots were part of the military budget. Like they're just ready to shut our cities down, shut any cities down that they need.
We need 1,000 boots.
We're gonna boot all these fucking cars.
Okay, but how that really wouldn't work though, would it? Like
no, because those things are fucking heavy, and it's gonna take fucking forever to put those things on.
Well, I'm saying, like, couldn't you just? I don't know. Like,
didn't Homer drive with one?
He did.
Yeah.
when his car got stuck in New York after Barney stole it.
Yep.
Well, he was waiting for Officer Steve Grabowski.
Yes.
I remember that way too much.
As they're in the car, like Becca gets a tickle in her throat, and I love how Russell's like, "Is she sick?" I was like, "Bitch, nobody has coughed like the whole time."
Coughing up a storm.
I know it's not like the crazies were like.
Yeah, like nobody had symptoms of a cough. Like it's dusty. They're you're in a dusty ass car. She just has a tickle in her throat. Man, leave her alone.
Yeah, Bill in the fucking in the holding cell in the prison, right, or the the
in
jail,
the jail.
right?
Yeah,
he just stood there, and I love how Russell was just looking at him, and he's like, he hasn't moved. I'm like, I wanted them to put like a shower curtain just so they didn't have to look at him. But it's like, yeah, like Bill wasn't in there like hawking up a lung or anything.
No.
It's not like they were like cough equals crazy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm like, this is just COVID today.
No,
like,
Bill,
cough it, get out of the car.
When Bill was in the jail cell, right, and he's just standing there staring off into space. And again, when we saw it with the principal when he goes back to the baseball field, it really reminded me of World War Z. And how they because when they go at the end, when they're in that lab thing in the end of World War Z, and they're like, I've never seen them go dormant, and like they're just standing there waiting for people to come or whatever in that lab. And I was like, maybe that's what he's doing. Like he doesn't move.
That was B-Wing.
B-Wing, yeah. Like he doesn't move until somebody gets close to him, right? So he's just waiting.
He's playing possum.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's just, it kind of reminded me of almost zombie-like things from World War Z, but it's still it's kind of the same thing, like a contagion thing. It's a virus.
Apparently in the jail cell there was graffiti in the wall that spelled out Romero.
See, I didn't
notice that either.
It's in the trivia on IMDb.
Then they make it to the car wash after that, and the car wash, that scene is just bananas because poor Russell's devolving, like he can't keep it together.
When the helicopter comes out and they go into the car wash, Judy and David have a real like husband and wife argument. He's like, "What fucking magic road can they not see?
Yeah.
And I'll fucking take it." And he's like,
I'm just trying to help.
Calm down, David. Just calm down. I'm like, this is just a naggy husband and wife argument they're having. Like, where the fuck do you want me to go, Judy?
Well, in times of stress, you would have those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it fucking makes sense. Like, where the fuck are we gonna go? We live in Iowa. There's corn.
Yeah.
There's nothing, like there's no underpass.
Like, there's
we
nowhere
have
to
nothing.
go.
Like,
But see, like they do that, and it does have that husband and wife dynamic because he does it again at the end when they're at the truck stop, and he's like, "If you want me to just give up, we can just stay here and we'll give up." And I think when like her thing in the car, she was like, "Okay, we got to figure out our next move." Right. And then he was kind of giving up. He's like, where are we going to go? You know?
See, I don't know if it was giving up so much as he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, we're fucked right now. Because he's like, there's a helicopter and obviously it's armed. Like, that is a military fighter helicopter.
Like Apache or something.
An Apache longbow or something, right? Like, that's meant for war. Like, there's no way that we're just going to drive out of this fucker. And I have to say, like, that was the greatest, like, creepiest, like, car wash scene. Because it was so, like, the quick cuts and, like, just the random shit. Like, you didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, the blinking fluorescent lights, like it just adds. And like I said, in Russell's devolving, like he's freaking out because he can't calm down. He's like hanging out the window at a fucking car wash,
and his
shooting people.
It was a thing of the shotgun or whatever. Like, you dumbass.
Mm-hmm. And then when Becca goes, it's so fast.
Yeah,
like she's looking out as they're driving away from the car wash, and a guy just pops down from the hood or the roof of the car is what I meant.
Just grabs her and pulls her out.
Yeah, just wraps a is it a hose around her neck?
Yeah, it's got to be some hose or a cable or something. But I don't know. Like, it was just like it yanked her out, and it was like, all right, well, I guess she's dead now.
She's done.
So, sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah, and then after they spike the SUV's tires, because David did not want that to happen. That was Russell's fault. David wanted the SUV.
Okay.
Yeah.
That started evolving.
Yeah, that was the one thing where I'm like, you fucking moron.
And when he gets him out.
Yeah, not only have we been walking all fucking day, like.
Yeah. And when they get the guy out of the car and David is talking to him, I noticed it yesterday that after he says the incubation period is when he shoots him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, it's 48 hours. Either you don't have it or, you've got it. And so I think Russell knew he had it at that point. He was like, fuck. And that's why he shot the guy. He's like, nothing can be done now.
Yeah. And I really think that it was really, he was like, shit. Because when he has that scene later, he was like, I'm not right, am I?
Yeah. After David confronts him. Yeah.
It was similar to the Clank in the original. He's like, I'm not gonna. What did you say? Was that one scene where he's like,
did I do something bad?
Am I gonna be like that? Yeah. Did I do something bad?
Yeah.
That one? When the FBI guy, after they get him out, they're talking to him. I think it's so like, it's just so brutally honest, but it almost makes you as like a human being like, God damn it. When he's so nonchalant, be like, we lost the plane, buddy. What do you want me to say?
Take it up with the pilot is what he
It's
says.
like, what do you want me to say? He's like, there's really nothing we can do. And he was like, well, what? You're just going to kill us? And like, would you rather have a global pandemic? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is really like just, it's humanity. And it's like,
that's the things
it's like, yeah, it's just one of the things, like, it's a cold military calculation. We're like, well, we lose one town or we lose the whole country.
Yeah,
man.
and
what do you
That's
want,
the
buddy?
shitty way to think about it,
Yeah.
though. Because, like, I mean, if you think about it, big picture, like this movie, like The Thing, the original Crazies, and pretty much any Outbreak movie, is it's okay.
Protect
you
the
have,
population.
Including Outbreak.
Yeah.
The movie.
It's like you have to like protect. Okay, like it sounds like a shitty thing to do, but again, you have to think of the bigger picture.
There's a perimeter, and if it gets out, there needs to be a bigger perimeter and a bigger one and a bigger one. It's the stand, really.
It really is.
Like, yeah.
But no, I like that part because it is giving us all the backstory kind of that we got in the first one. Remember when in the original where like we had the shot of just the far away military people and there's that one guy eating an orange.
No, it was a mango.
A mango, yeah. It's kind of harkens back to that because they're all talking about it. And like if I remember correctly, one of the people are like, but what about all the civilians? They're like, but what about all the other civilians?
Yeah.
Like,
why are you more important than the whole of the United States or the world or whatever? And it's like, it's really gotta fuck with you. Like, imagine being in that situation where like your town is dead. You're all gonna die.
And you're
like,
expendable.
But I'm not infected. We can't take that chance.
Can't
buddy.
take that risk.
Really at all. Like, sorry, man.
And then poor Russell goes out in the sweetest diversion ever.
Wait, I just wanted him to say, like, sorry, buddy, it would take 2 weeks to, get the vaccine here. It's like, sorry. Well, the last plane we sent didn't fare well in this weather or whatever the fuck it was. Why does the plane crash? No one ever explained
Yeah,
it.
no. Well, they don't even have time to research the plane. They just find the plane. They're like, fuck, what was on the
We
plane?
have
And then
no fucking clue why. So what was the big town they were going to?
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids, right? So I'm wondering if water flows, if that's.
I don't know, man.
I think they could make a sequel. I mean, it's been too long now, and it would be a weird kind of sequel, but they could have made a good sequel to this. I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been like the 28 days later thing.
Yeah.
Where you have the 28 days later, then the 28 weeks later.
Yeah. But the hunters, they find out the hunters are just out there killing people.
Yeah.
Like everywhere.
Rogue hillbillies. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to kill. See.
They found that guy and one of them got water on his face and that's how they all got infected.
If they would have just let them go out there and hunt the geese like they were doing, then they wouldn't feel like they need to go on a murderous rampage and start hunting people.
Well, I think they were going to do that either way.
Yeah.
That's, I think, being the crazy version of themselves. It was like, we like to hunt, we like to do this. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's like, the crazy just enhances like some of the things that you
Your
do.
interests.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's talk about the diner
There's
scene.
some old lady baking somewhere. Like, what are you doing? Like, I gotta bake.
When Judy, I don't know why she did it. I thought it was like, why the fuck is she doing this? When she gets the water bottle and she pours it into the fucking glass.
I know. I'm like, just drink out of the water bottle,
that
bitch.
thing always to me, and I'm like, did you trust that glass?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're gonna put ice in there and shit? And be like, what are you doing?
I know.
That's one thing I didn't get. And the one thing I told Kim too is when the hunter started looking around when she hid herself in the meat locker or whatever it is, it's like she sucks at hide and seek. If you got a good hiding spot
You
and they're
stay
not
there.
going to find you,
Yeah, you stay there.
Fucking stay there.
Yeah, I think she was worried about David though, which
I like when she was
anyway.
Yeah, when she was hiding behind the clear hang
Yeah,
down
I'm
thing.
like, how does he not see you there?
He's
Like,
literally
that's-
clearly staring at her.
I'm
And
like,
she's like,
there's
I don't
a-
know, he can't see me.
There's a light behind you and above, and the thing is clear. Like you can see through there. Like
Yes.
the scene that they have where they're sitting at the table and David's just like, "Do you want to give up?" You know, all that whole thing. I was like, you know what? You want to give up, Judy? Like, fuck it. I'll turn on the fryers and the grill. We'll make some cheeseburgers and fries and milkshake. Like, fuck it. There was pies everywhere.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
pie.
Cake.
It has to be
Like,
that.
I'm like, fuck it. Let's just eat. We're gonna get bombed anyway. Like,
Go out, man.
why risk trying to get out of here and the radiation poisoning gets us instead of the actual explosion? Because I think that would be much worse.
Yeah, and they make it, they fight off the 3 crazy hunters, and then they make it into the big truck.
Yeah.
And they're driving away, but the truck gets carried off the road, flipped over a bunch of times, and there's no way they survive.
Oh, but the one thing
Yeah.
we forgot about it though is when Judy makes the big reveal that Judy finds out is that they ended up killing everybody regardless of whether they were infected.
Oh
or not.
yeah, they find the cattle cars of the
Yeah,
burned bodies
yeah,
and all
it's
the
just-
bullets. Yeah,
Shot them, burned them, and they left. We're gonna bump. Why do you still need to burn the town?
because
I guess you're killing
You
the
kill it with
infection.
fire.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like in
If it's airborne, you gotta
it's
kill
like
the-
in the outbreak where they that bomb that scorches the air and everything
yeah.
and kills the virus and everything.
fire is cleansing.
When I want to go back to the scene where they get to Judy and David's house, and as soon as she gets there, she starts getting the laundry. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That's a dramatic response. That's a trauma
and she's
response.
Like, we have company. I gotta get the laundry. This is embarrassing.
What does she say? It's a beautiful morning
It's
in
in our beautiful house or
No,
something.
I'm okay. I'm talking about when they go back after the shits hit the fan and
Yeah.
they go back.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
when she
that's what
says
it is.
it.
Yeah, she says that.
Is that what she says?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
I
says
thought
it's
it
a
was-
beautiful morning in our beautiful house in a shit situation.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a different time when they were there. But I kept thinking, and I think I said to Angie too, and I'm like, if I was David, I'd be like, okay, you know how in those movies where at the last part of the movie they barely get away with a few fucking seconds left? Like, let's hurry the fuck up now, and we'll save some of those seconds so we can actually get out on time.
Those are wasted seconds that ended
It
up
was.
biting them in the ass.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie.
And when they get knocked around in the truck, right? Judy's not wearing her seatbelt, so
No.
she's rolling around.
They should have been more fucked
I'm
up than
like-
they
Yeah.
ended up.
Not even that, but even if she did make it out of that situation, which I don't know if she would have, but the baby would be no more. You can't that wouldn't have been viable any longer because you can't get knocked around that much and still remain pregnant.
There's a few things that bothered me about that ending thing because again, I don't know how the fuck they ended up surviving, especially if they're getting tossed around that big rig.
Yeah.
Because it rolls a shitload of times. Mm-hmm. And then you think about it, okay, if they set off a bomb, which we probably thinking is going to kill pretty much most of the oxygen in the air, don't you think they're just going to suffocate and not be able to breathe anything, especially, or
I
if
mean, they were still pretty close to it.
yeah,
man.
and if not on top of that, the heat from the freaking blast
Mm-hmm.
too.
Well, we don't know how far that truck stop was from the actual town.
I
though.
think they said 20 miles.
Okay,
So maybe
then-
that would be a good
And
one.
I don't know. It's
I don't know
probably,
bomb kilowatts.
Okay,
and shit,
it's not.
so.
It's probably not a nuclear bomb because I don't think they would do that. They wouldn't need to do that to get rid of the virus.
No, you would just have to scorch
So
the
I mean,
air.
and so the whole explosion thing. I always think like radiation stuff but it's probably not a nuclear bomb.
No,
But they were pretty far out. Like I don't know. Like you get the. I think in those types of bomb there would be like an explosion, so everything would push out. And then because it's killing the air, that creates a big void. So then everything would suck back in.
Yeah.
yes.
So it would definitely be, like a weirder explosion. We
need bomb
They
episodes.
they would have got out of the truck, and then the air would have rushed back into it, and they would have just got thrown into it and burned anyway. Is probably what would happen.
And I love how they're just they walk through fields. They're just walking. I'm like, they would see you guys. At least be go into a tree line. Go somewhere that you're a little hidden, not just.
Where? Okay, you live in
There were no
Iowa.
trees
Where's
though.
the fucking tree line there?
There's
There
a
were
ton of tree lines.
No, in the spot that they were heading up. Okay, pull up the map because I want to see what's around fucking Cedar Rapids because it looks like
I don't know.
There's some downtown looking shit over there, a bunch of cornfields, which I mean everyone assumes that's what Iowa is anyway. So I mean for the movie purposes, it didn't make no one's gonna question that.
Yeah. But David and Judy then walk into Cedar Rapids. And then at the end, we discovered that the military has been watching them this whole time.
And surprise, surprise, what do we have to do? Expand the fucking quarantine
Yep.
zone to the
Yep.
expanded perimeter.
And now they're going to kill a bigger town because David
idiots.
and Judy walked away.
I don't know though. Why couldn't they just take them out in the middle of that field, scorch the fields, and then you're done? You don't have to take out Cedar Rapids after that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably could do it now with drones.
Oh yeah,
they could.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. And
I mean, this was 2010, so I mean, it was about 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I would imagine that as soon as the bomb went off, or shortly thereafter, there would have been helicopters in the air and like, let's survey, like make sure that it was a success.
But
and then you gotta love the teaser at the end where they have the real world life type breaking news.
Did it remind anybody else of like from the Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that?
I think it was an homage to that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
too,
that's definitely the type I felt.
Yeah, there was just those little tidbits like that. I think there's a lot of different homages. I think not only to the original Crazies, but I think Romero in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but this movie updates everything so seamlessly, and they don't take anything too far outside of like the realm of reality, and that's what I think makes this movie so great.
Yeah, because it really is like a real world look at this.
Yeah.
You know, like if you were in this town, like this is what you would expect. Like nothing in this movie seems like it's far fetched.
No.
Yeah,
like especially with the way we are in now.
Yeah, with the quarantining and shit we've had to do and the lockdowns and everything, like it makes sense. Like when regional shit gets locked down now because that's where we're at. And so, it's definitely not too far outside the realm. And even the Crazies, like, they just kind of go crazy, and that's all that happens. And, like, there is a virus part of it because they start to kind of, like, get gross at the end.
Yeah. Like when you go back to Bill in the cell, like after he's died.
Yeah.
I think I wrote down like, so after a few days or after like 48 hours of having Trixie or whatever, then you just bleed out your eyes and dry up and die, basically. 'Cause that's basically what Bill looked like. Like he would just look like a dried up thing, and you could clearly see like.
Yeah, well, if it makes you crazy, it's got to do something cerebral with you. Like it's gotta be something with the brain, and maybe the brain just swells.
Your brain just explodes in like a few days. Like,
that's what makes you
get batshit crazy. Do your hobbies, and then your brain explodes. It comes out of your eyeballs.
I love this movie. It updates a great story and makes it. It almost made it a better horror movie, taking some of the military out, because I do think that we still get those military themes, like distrust of the government and like that. But like we were saying, it's the real world. Like, look, we lost a plane. But it's so easy and simple that they didn't try to like take it too far outside the realm of anything else. And that's what makes it scary and fun.
Yeah. Well, it's like you have the military side where it's like it's cold and callous and calculated that we're expendable. And then you have the crazy side of it, is like you don't know what the fuck they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I mean, and 1 second they're just staring. 1 second, they could be trying to kill you. Like you don't know. So it's like you're fighting both of these things to try and survive. And and it's just like, I'm the sheriff, which means nothing anymore.
Nothing.
Like as soon as they got to the high school, like she's a doctor, I'm a sheriff. They're like, okay, we don't care. Just go, man. Just get the fuck out of here.
Well, even at the end of it, when Russell, when he's Leroy Jenkinsing himself to save the other ones, he says, "I'm a deputy. I'm this."
Deputy with
that's Russell Clank.
Russell Clank.
That's when he says Russell Clank, because I forgot about that part, and I was like, Clank. That's right. Their names. I was so excited. Russell doesn't say man as much as the original Clank.
Doesn't, yeah.
But Russell, like, I really think that guy is an underutilized actor. I think he needs to be in more things. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he was great in this.
Like, he can pull off the faces of true pain and be crazy all at the same time. I was like, good for you.
He had a really good when he was the crazy version. He had a really good like just that confused look, especially when he was like, I have it or whatever. Like he just sold it with his looks. Like, I get what you're saying.
I love this movie. Yes. Such a great movie.
I think that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. All right, that is it for this week. We are coming back to you next week with the 2013 remake of Evil Dead. And it's a great one. Just like this one. We got lucky doing all these remakes. We got some really great remakes to watch because we just did Maniac, which was better than I anticipated.
Better than we all thought.
It's wait to be determined because we still got to do the remake of Fright Night.
We do.
That's the one that I'm like, I'm not ready to.
We haven't seen. I don't think have any of us seen that one. No. Yeah, that'll be a first time for all of us.
This will be good. Then.
But that was the Crazies. Make sure you guys leave us a comment, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff so you never miss an episode. You guys can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can support us on Patreon. We're going to patreon.com/scarynerd. You can check out more horror entertainment news at scarynerd.com. And we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.